All right, this is Brent Leary, and I'm back in Boston. I was here a couple of weeks ago for another conference, but I'm back here for Bullhorn Engage, and I'm sitting here with the CEO and founder of Bullhorn, Art Pappas. Art, thank you for joining me, man.
Thanks, Brent.
So
thanks for coming to Boston.
Yeah, it's almost starting to be like my second home all of a sudden. I've been here a couple of times already. Like I said, we're here for Bullhorn Engage. This is my first time checking it out, and I've been really impressed. But just for folks who don't necessarily know about Bullhorn, give me a little bit of your background, a little personal background, and tell me a little bit about Bullhorn.
Okay. So I'm the founder of the company. I started Bullhorn in 1999, back right before the dot-com bubble crashed.
That's pretty interesting because that's the same year that Salesforce started too, and so you're right there. Yeah.
Salesforce. Yeah.
But go ahead.
Started the company. I was originally the chief technology officer and became the CTO about 2002. We are based in Boston, but offices all over the world, about 600 employees, growing very fast. We are a CRM platform that really specializes and focuses deep on the staffing and recruitment industry.
So tell us about what makes CRM special, or what's important in staffing when it comes to CRM. There's a lot of people have a general understanding of CRM, but what do staffing needs come to when it comes to CRM?
Yeah, staffing firms, recruitment firms are an interesting business in that there's no product. Really what they're doing is they build relationships with customers, then they go build relationships with talent, and they try to make a match. Matchmakers.
Right.
And it sounds relatively simple, but it's a two-sided sales process that culminates with a lot of logistics and a lot of back and forth and a lot of documents trading hands. Here's a resume, here's a job description. This resume is a fit for this job description, and they manage complex projects for their customers. And so while it seems like, well, wouldn't a horizontal CRM fit that just fine, it's a really big challenge, and you end up with things like deep search and match requirements in terms of being able to take a document and reflect it against your database to say who might be a fit for this job, or vice versa. I have a great candidate, which customers would be a fit for this candidate. And so, and then there's just a whole bunch of deep workflow that happens after a sale is made around things like time and attendance tracking and document management and onboarding and contract management. I mean, it's a really, so when I got into it, I knew nothing about the staffing industry, and I thought, how hard could it be? And 6 months later, after my first customer went live, he said, well, now you have a system you can sell to every other staffing firm in the world. And I said, that's great. And I went to my second client, and man, they had a whole bunch of requirements that I'd never heard of before. And so and that journey just continued, and we just went from from customer to customer, just trying to make them successful, and then generalize the platform so that not every time that we ran into new requirements, it was writing a bunch of code. And eventually we got there, and so today we have 7,000 customers, and
wow.
We have just under 100,000 users globally, and and we have big conferences like this with thousands of people, and we do one here, one in the UK, and it's grown tremendously from the humble beginnings, but it's been a great journey.
So every conference I've gone to this year, and it's hard to believe it's June, I've already been to like over 10, there's been a focus on a couple of things. AI, and I call it AI and CI, artificial intelligence and conversational interfaces.
Yeah.
So when you talk about where do you see AI fitting in when it comes to staffing and engagement, how does AI impact what you guys do for your customers?
Yeah, so I'm sort of a realist, right? And what I'll say is, look, nobody's really doing any artificial intelligence yet. everybody says they've got machine learning, but the reality is, like, as a true computer scientist, we know that machine learning is, I mean, the best stuff that's going on at Google is you can take a bunch of images and turn it into a binary array, multi-dimensional array, and map it back to some outcomes, and then call that learning. You create a brain that then is a good, but it's all just predictive algorithms. And that's, at the end of the day, that's where what the state of the industry is. But I do believe that it's advancing. And so what I think we can do is, I think that natural language processing has reached a point where computers can generally understand what human beings are trying to say. And if you, especially in the case where you know what they're most likely to say, you can fake it till you make it, and do exception management and make sure that when the user says, please add a note to the system, I just spoke with Brent, we had a conversation, he said to follow up in 6 months. Okay, conversation is about Brent. I can look in the calendar, are there any Brents? Okay, there's a meeting with Brent, it's tied to that contact. Also sounds like there's a follow-up task. I'll add a task. You mentioned 6 months. They're pretty good. You can get there. And so I think that kind of stuff is where it starts. And as you start to look at the exceptions, the things that the computer couldn't handle, can you get me his LinkedIn profile? Okay. Computer couldn't handle that. But what types of things are they asking for? And humans can kind of bridge the gap and say, okay, the computer needs to learn this. Maybe there's a clever way for me to handle exceptions,
right,
and start to let the computer teach itself. That I think that's where machine learning actually will become artificial intelligence. But right now, I think everybody's just they're just hard coding the exceptions right now, and we're all doing it. So but I think for recruitment, where it's powerful is that it's we threw the stat that 65% of millennials would prefer to talk to a chatbot. So
it's pretty amazing.
It is amazing, and you think of how much in the sort of the recruitment process is, people apply to jobs and nobody ever gets back to them.
Yeah.
And so low-hanging fruit is have a chatbot, at least have if they prefer it anyway.
Yeah, use it. Right?
Yeah, and the chatbot can actually be, can do what humans don't like to do.
Break bad news, explain why.
Yeah, and it's human beings avoid that stuff, and so I think there's actually huge opportunity to improve the customer experience in this industry using technology, and so I get excited about it, and my customers yesterday were pretty fired up about it.
That's kind of an interesting thing you just mentioned, because most people look at how AI can free up people. Well, AI kind of lacks empathy, and it frees up people to use their empathy. But what you just said, it actually kind of adds empathy, because a lot of folks don't get the response after they spend a lot of time looking for jobs, and they spend a lot of time filling in applications, and then they hear nothing back. So you're saying that actually using a chatbot in this use case, it's almost like being a little bit more empathetic, because you're giving them a response at least where they wouldn't get one.
Yeah, especially if you care about your brand, right?
Yeah.
You have to invest something, and technology could be the answer. I got to invest something in making sure that everybody who interacts with my brand has a great experience, regardless of whether or not there's a transaction today.
That's pretty cool. Let's ask one last question. The voice.
Yeah.
You talk about that's coming, and how you guys are starting to look at that as well.
Yeah, so I have an Alexa, a Google Home, and I got Siri. My daughter says Siri's dumb. But, I'm sure I'm sure the Air, what is it, the HomePod?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. It'll have great looks. So, but Alexa is super useful, and so is Google Home, and I think that we're now at a point where that voice user interface will become strong, and it's not going to replace text, right? there's plenty of times you're not going to be in a meeting and say, "Hey Siri, send John a text." No, you're not going to do that.
No.
But you're still going to text that with your fingers. But you know, until we have a telepathic user interface, you know. But I think that's pretty far away.
Basically, Facebook is working on that. By the way.
They are, yeah, and someday we'll have it. We'll know what neurons are firing and what the heck they mean. But right now, I think voice will become a really, like, especially when people are driving and they want to. I just met with a customer. Please add a note to the system, and set a follow-up task, and move the stage of the opportunity, and tell my colleague, you know, and do this and do that. It's going to be it's a virtual assistant in the home. It's going to be in the office too. And so it's funny because, like, we used to hire salespeople, and I would say, like, early 2000s salespeople, I was always astounded. Salespeople come in and go, "Well, do I have an admin to do my CRM notes?" I'm like, no, of course not. Nobody's going to enter data into the CRM for you. And so now I'm like, maybe we should find those guys. You know?
Come on back, we got something for you.
We talked to Alexa. She's your admin.
That's right.
You know?
What about, are you excited? Have you did the pre-order for the Alexa show? I mean the new Echo show, the one with the touch screen.
I haven't done the pre-order yet.
I'm guilty.
You did.
I can't wait for that. But
yeah, I'm kind of a second generation guy. Like, okay. I'm not always on the first generation. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Like, so I didn't do the iWatch.
You know, I didn't either. You didn't do the Google Glass either?
No.
No, I didn't, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, let's see, you know, let somebody else, like, you know, look like a dork.
Yeah. Well, all right, this has been great. For people who want to learn more about what you guys are doing, where can they go?
Bullhorn.com.